There was a time when I thought that I had to keep my heart closed in order to be safe. I thought that having my guard up made me strong, and so I confused my walls for my boundaries. But the truth is, a closed heart doesn't protect you, and it just cuts you out from the very thing that you are craving the most. And that thing is connection. And I know that you're telling yourself that you're fine and that things maybe are better this way, but truthfully, you miss the version of you who used to feel things deeply. When you close your heart to protect yourself from pain, you don't just shut out the sadness, the betrayal, and the loss. You shut out everything. You shout out the laughter that makes you cry. You shout out the intimacy that could soften up your guard. You shut out the joy that could literally bring you tears in your eyes. And most of us, we end up shutting our heart closed without realizing it. After a heartbreak, after enough silence, or after not being held when we felt that we needed it the most. That's when our heart starts to slowly seal and starts to slowly close, because it feels like if I keep this door open, I'm going to continue getting hurt. And at the beginning, it feels safer. You feel like you're more grounded, you're more logical, you're more in control, and you like that because you don't feel exhausted by your emotions so much anymore. You experience things mentally and not emotionally. So everything is watered down and everything loses its power. But over time, you notice that you do not feel life anymore. You are observing it, you are managing it, but you're not really living it. And that is because a closed heart turns your life into a checklist. Everything might be looking fine, but nothing really moves you, nothing really touches you. And the truth that no one says is that you cannot selectively numb emotions. When you close yourself to pain, you close yourself to love. You close yourself to inspiration. You close yourself to the magic. You close yourself to being deeply touched by the present moment. So the heart chakra is not just spiritual fluff and spiritual woo-woo. It is actually the bridge between your earthly self and your soul. It is the connection between what you do and who you are. And so when your heart stays closed for too long, your spirit and your soul starts to dim because they are connected. So you are functioning, sure, but you do not feel like you are alive. You don't feel like there is life inside of you. So if you've been wondering why nothing excites you, why you feel so disconnected from people, from purpose, from pleasure, well, it's not because life has lost its color. It is because your heart has pulled the curtains. It is because your heart has closed off and pushed life out. And healing this doesn't come from kicking that door open, but by slowly and gently saying to your heart, you know what, I understand why you are closed, but I am ready now to feel again. Hi guys, I'm Adriana and welcome back to my channel. So the real question is, if your heart is shut, how do you open it again without reopening yourself to the chaos and to the pain? And that is where most people get stuck. But there is a way that you can open your heart gently, a way that still protects yourself and still protects your boundaries, a way that doesn't abandon yourself, it doesn't abandon your boundaries, but it actually brings you back to yourself and to your power. So in today's video, I'm going to teach you how I did that and what it actually takes to feel again, to trust again, and to receive love without needing to protect and armor yourself in order to survive it. So before we talk about opening your heart, we need to understand why you closed it in the first place. We need to understand that a closed heart doesn't come from weakness. It comes from protection. It is a way of your body saying that I remember pain and I just don't want to feel that again. So your nervous system was forced to build up these walls when the pain was too deep and when there was no one there to comfort you. And so you learn to freeze, to detach, to disassociate, to overfunction, and to become hyper independent. And this worked. It worked because it allowed you to survive. But survival is not the same as living. You're not brought here on this earth to simply function. You are brought here to live. You're here to create. You're here to connect. You're here to love. You're here to be loved. But how can you allow love to enter when you do not allow yourself to receive? When you have closed all the doors and all of the paths that could reach you and that could allow that love to come and be received by you. So this is not about pushing the heart open, but it's about melting all of the ice that it has built around it in order to protect it. And once you thaw that ice, and once you are able to melt that ice around the heart is able to open up again because there's nothing there blocking it anymore. Now you need to feel what you have been avoiding in order for you to clear all of that emotional weight. So using the example of melting the ice around the heart, in order to melt the ice, that ice that surrounds the heart is basically all of the build-up of the emotions that you haven't felt, that you haven't allowed to be moved through you, so they could be expressed and they can just be removed from inside of you. A closed heart is usually a full heart. It's meaning it's full of unspoken grief, it's full of unspoken words, it's full of unspoken emotions that you have allowed to pile up around it and inside of it. So now there's like no room for anymore. And so now we are stuck with all of those past emotions and we don't have any space for any new ones to come in. The heart is blocked because all of the emotions that you haven't expressed and you haven't felt. We think that we are being strong when we are moving on, when we ignore emotions, when we push them away, when we suppress them. But actually, this is not strength, because real strength is having the courage to feel something no matter how much we think and how much scared we are to feel it. You need to understand that not feeling your emotions and moving away from them is not strength, but actually it's making you weaker, because emotion that doesn't move, it gets stored in your body, and therefore it becomes tension in your chest, it becomes a lump in your throat, and it's that numb feeling that will never go away because you have never tried to feel it. You've never tried to express it, to move it from your body and let it go. In order to open your heart, you don't need to become someone new. You just need to let the old emotions leave. Because how can you move forward when you're still being held back by all the chains and all of the past emotions that you haven't felt? So all of these old stored emotions, you need to allow them to be expressed. So in order for you to clear up space, you need to let them move through you. Most people are emotionally constipated. They carry 10-year-old pain in their adult bodies. Emotion is energy in motion. So if that energy is not moved, is not expressed, is not felt through you, that energy stays stuck inside of you, and therefore that emotion stays stuck inside of you. So unless you express it, unless you move that energy, that emotion is going to get suppressed and is going to stay stuck inside of you. So the way to do that is to cry it out. That's why so many people say just scream, cry it out, express your emotions, because not expressing them is so unhealthy for you. A way that I love to express emotions is to write it out. Another way is movement. Just moving your body, exercising and stretching helps that emotion be moved through your body and to not stay stagnant inside of you. So I want you to allow yourself to take this step of feeling your old emotions, the residue of all of the past emotions that you haven't felt. And I want you to take this slowly and give yourself grace to not just allow everything to flash out at the same time. Take it slowly and use these tools to allow yourself to get in touch with those emotions. When you feel all of these emotions rising up, I want you to have compassion. You're not dramatic and you're not over emotional for experiencing that. It's just the amount of emotions that you have left unexpressed, and these emotions, they are long overdue to be felt. So don't give yourself any judgment for this, going through this process. Just accept yourself feeling what you're feeling. Give yourself the space, the time, the compassion to go through those emotions without any judgment, without any restriction and any holding back. Because if you do that, then you're gonna end up having to come back again and feel the emotions that you held back yourself from feeling. Then what you're going to do is to create safety inside your body, and that is building and creating your own foundation. And this is very key because your heart won't even give the chance to open up if it feels like it's still in danger, if it doesn't feel safe enough to open up. So that means that you need to take it slow. You need to allow yourself to be grounded, to feel secure, to feel safe, and to allow breath to get you there. And every time your heart starts to like get panicked and feel like, oh, I'm not safe, I should just close off again, I want you to be able to remind yourself that we are not there anymore. We are not the scared person that I used to be, that I didn't feel like I was able to take these emotions anymore. Now I know better because I know that emotions are meant to be felt and emotions are meant to be experienced, and these emotions are teaching me something. So closing myself from these emotions means that I'm closing myself from growth, and means that I'm closing myself from evolving and becoming a better version of me. So now I'm able to see emotions for what they are and not to take them personally as personal attacks. I'm seeing them as something that is allowing me to grow and to thrive and become to teach me a lesson that I need to learn in order to go to the next step. So this is not about affirmations, but it's about being able to regulate yourself, to regulate your nervous system, and to make your nervous system rely on you, rely on the safety that you provided as your own guardian. You don't need to have a door anymore to close you off and protect you from people, to protect you from situations that could hurt you, because now you have yourself to protect and act as your guardian. So when your nervous system feels safe and when your nervous system feels guarded and protected and secure, that ice that is around your heart is going to start to thaw, is going to start to melt, because it feels warm again, it feels protected again. It doesn't feel like it needs to tighten up and to close off. So in order to regulate your body, the best techniques that you could use, and the ones that have helped me so much, is grounding, is breath work, is building this gentle connection and relationship with yourself, of being compassionate, of being understanding, of speaking softly to yourself, and forgiving yourself for not being perfect, for not having things figured out, giving yourself the grace, and building an inner voice of softness, an inner voice that you rely on and you feel safe around, and not an inner voice of a critic that is cruel to you, that is cruel to your heart, and therefore makes your heart feel like it's in survival again, and therefore it needs to shut down. In order to keep your heart open, you need to be soft with your heart. You need to be graceful. You need to be understanding, forgiving, compassionate, because scaring your heart only closes it. Fear only closes people, and that is the exact and the only reason why you closed off in the first place. There was too much fear. You were too unsafe around emotions. You were too scared. You were too afraid of them. But now, when you speak to yourself through love, through compassion, through support, you are surrounding yourself and you're surrounding your heart with love, with compassion, with positive feelings. And therefore, these literally opens up your heart. So your job here is to make sure that your inner world feels safer than that pain and that old identity of needing to close your heart ever was. So you need to make yourself realize that it's so much safer for me to be gentle with myself than that it is for me to close off myself. Say and speak the things that you have been silent about for so long. And this is very key because becoming vulnerable literally unlocks you. One of the reasons why your heart was blocked for so long was because you felt that vulnerability was unsafe. Expressing yourself clearly and truthfully was unsafe because it felt like exposing yourself. You now need to teach yourself that vulnerability is safe and that expressing yourself and expressing your truth is not only healthy but is also good for you, and that this actually protects you more than being closed off ever did. And this is a very key practice here if you want to keep your heart open, because the heart closes with silence. But when you express your truth, when you express with honesty your feelings and you're being vulnerable, then your heart is allowed to open up, because it is like you are giving it the permission to be expressed. You are the first person that you say to your heart, I am going to express your truth, even if it's scary, even if it doesn't serve that person, even if it's not comfortable for that person, because you being open and you being truthful and feeling safe with me is more important than any connection with any other person. My priority is my connection with you, and keeping this connection between me and my heart, having this clear pathway, is so important and so vital for me, because that connection is everything. That connection with your heart is where your intuition is coming from, is what is going to be telling you and giving you so many signals and so many clear emotions of what is right and what is wrong for you. So keeping that pathway clear and open must be always a priority for you, and not only something that you prioritize when it's convenient, but a boundary that you always meet. Because if you don't meet that boundary, if you don't protect that boundary, then you're not protecting your heart. You don't protect your connection with your heart. And I don't mean here oversharing. I'm talking about being honest, not shrinking and not minimizing yourself, not minimizing your truth in order to be convenient with other people and for other people. So say what hurt you, say what you needed, say what you miss, even if it's saying this to your journal, even if it's expressing it to somebody else that you feel safe to do that with, or even if it's just with your mirror. Saying this and expressing this is giving permission to your voice to be used and to be heard. And your voice is the key to opening your chest and opening your heart, because the more you express yourself, the more you speak and you use your voice to express your emotions and your feelings, the more you're able to clearly communicate what you want and what you don't want, the more open your heart gets, and the more clear and the more coherent your heart is. And also, if you think about it, how can you allow other people to meet your needs if you don't firstly express them and you don't firstly allow them to be expressed? So that voice is the bridge between you and your desires being met. So you should never see that voice as something that needs to be kept silent, but as something that needs to be expressed and that needs to be honored. A very key step here is to let your inner child know that you are safe now. The person that shut your heart down wasn't the adult version of you. It was the little you. It was the younger version of you, your inner child that didn't feel safe around so many big emotions, that had so many needs that were not met, so many emotions that were not given to it, that your inner child felt so unsafe around emotions. Emotions were threatening to it, and therefore it felt, in order to survive, I need to close myself off from these big emotions. And so knowing that your inner child was the one responsible for shutting your heart down now gives us the understanding and the realization that the person that we need to satisfy and that we need to keep safe here is our inner child and not the adult version of me. The adult version of you obviously is more able to cope with bigger emotions now. So the person that you need to help in order to cope with these emotions that feels so unfamiliar around, that feels so unsafe around, is your inner child. And that younger version of you, that inner child, is still inside of you and is still waiting to be seen, to be understood, and to be held and to be met. So your job now is to make your inner child feel so protected and so safe that you let it know that you don't need to protect me anymore because I am here and I can take care of us. Again, this is not about going out and doing affirmations and it's simply speaking with yourself, speaking with your heart, and trust me, doing it once is enough. Letting your inner child know and truly feel safe and truly feel, you know what, I got you now. It's all it needs to just stop, breathe, and relax and feel safe with your presence. For me, it's not something that I need to go back again and again to reassure my inner child unless there are big emotions that are around that I don't feel familiar to, that I don't feel safe to. It's a relationship of trust that I was able to build, and now my inner child feels so safe and so reassured by that relationship. So you go and you say to yourself and to your inner child, I got you now, I protect you, I will feel you safe. And when you do show up and you prove to your inner child that you got it and you protect it and you are here to make it feel safe, to make it feel guarded, to make it feel protected of whatever is happening around it, that inner child is going to feel safe with you. And you're going to build this relationship of trust, of safety with your inner child. It's going to become something that is effortless and you don't even have to think and worry about anymore because you have this relationship of trust with you. And when you have built that relationship of trust, that's when you know that you are in the process of healing, that wound is covered now and is no longer needing any big protection around it in order to guard it. That wound is covered and is protected by you building that relationship of trust with yourself. So you literally healed yourself by building a relationship of trust with your inner child. Understand that opening doesn't mean that you stay unprotected. You will still have boundaries, and those boundaries need to be sacred now because they are the new form of protection that are there to keep your heart safe. So now that the heart has opened up and now that you have opened your doors to emotions to come in, what you need to build as a system, as an immune system to your heart, to protect it from viruses, to protect it from being just vulnerable and open to anything, is your boundaries. Your boundaries are going to be the security system that catches anything that can make you feel unsafe and can make your heart want to close off again. Because opening your heart doesn't mean opening it up to everything. You can still have an open heart and have strong boundaries because you have built this relationship of trust with yourself. You know how important it is for you to have your heart open, and therefore you respect your connection with your heart so much that you don't want anything to compromise it. And you know how important it is now to have strong boundaries to protect that. And so, as I said before, boundaries now are your new form of protection. So let love in little by little, without any conditions, without any guarantees, trusting in yourself that no matter what, I got you, you can feel safe. Maybe you don't feel safe with that person, but you know what? I am aware and I'm seeing that person, what is his energy or her energy towards you. So trust me, I got you. If anything happens that makes you feel unprotected, makes you feel unsafe, I will immediately come to the rescue, put the boundaries, and make sure to protect you. Start small with small acts of receiving. Let people show you slowly love. Allow yourself to be in the mode of receiving love, of receiving safety, of letting people in slowly and safely. And this way you start to build this relationship of trust, not only with yourself. First and foremost, you build it with yourself, but then the same way you build the relationship of trust with yourself, you build the relationship of trust with anyone that you let inside your heart. And that way you have this relationship of safety and protection with that person too. And therefore now you give your heart permission to feel safe, to feel protected by anyone that is around it and that is close to it. Make love your daily practice. Now that you have opened your heart up, you need to make sure that this shift stays in your life and you keep this mindset and you keep feeling this safety and regulation with your inner child and with your heart. And to do that, you can do it daily through small acts. You don't just open your heart up in one moment. You do it slowly and you do it repeatedly again and again with different people, with different situations, with different moments. So it's not something that you do once and it's done. It's something that you need to keep showing up for. So every time you choose to open up instead of shut down, every time you choose to speak your truth instead of silencing yourself, every time you smile to a stranger, every time you let love in instead of closing yourself up, every time you try to express and show love and you let love in, these are moments where your connection and your openness with your heart is tested. So your heart doesn't need perfection, it simply needs presence. So I want you to keep showing up with honesty, with being gentle with yourself, being compassionate, being forgiving. Keep showing up with love for yourself and giving yourself the feeling of safety and protection. Because every time you show up for yourself, you get rewarded for it. And that's how you are able to build this home in your heart and build this home in yourself where you feel safe inside and you feel just like home. You feel like it's the place where it's most sacred to you and most important to you. And because you have built this home and this foundation from scratch, you understand now the importance of that and of that space and how sacred it is. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope this video served as your reminder that shutting down and closing our heart is not in our nature. It's something that we were forced to do out of survival. And unfortunately, there's so many people that are living and going with their lives, having their hearts closed and keep living life without any color. And so I want you to understand that it is your divine right and it is in your nature to experience emotions, to have your heart open, to feel love and to receive love. Allowing yourself to open yourself up again and open your heart is something that is going to be beyond rewarding. So I hope this served as your reminder to make yourself your home, to make your heart your home, to make your inner child feel safe and feel at peace, feel at home, because This is the most important relationship that you're ever going to have in your life, the relationship with yourself. And when we talk about the relationship with yourself, we're talking about the relationship with your inner child, the relationship with your feelings, the relationship with your nervous system, with your emotions, and the relationship that you have with your body, mind, and soul. Your heart is such an integral part of this relationship, and until now, if your heart was closed, you were living in a house but not a home. And I hope that now you're able to make yourself feel at home again, to feel safe, feel protected, and feel secure with yourself. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, you can always let me know, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.